Hi everyone, welcome to Draw 4 of the U18 Orion Slam being held at Dundas Valley Golf and Country Club. We
are your hosts,
oh god,
Sam, Steve, and Ryan Hahn.
the curling
Curling
masters.
Masters.
Dun dun. They need to have the like.
Throughout the day, we get more and more energetic.
As you can tell. Yep, that's us.
That's us. We're going to have a special guest come on when he's done eating.
So, could be in 5 minutes,
Yeah.
could be in 5 hours.
Yeah,
We'll let you know.
We'll let you know. It looks like we're getting a nice, clean first end, at least attempting.
Oh my god, Sam.
Well, because they threw it back 8 and then Team Middaugh just caught up on that curl side.
Yeah, but it's...
Which we've seen
yes.
the last 3 draws.
We won't continue on it, but it's just a reoccurring pattern on this sheet of ice.
One side curls about 3 feet more than the other side.
I wouldn't say 3.
I'm going to say 3.
Okay, we're gonna go with 2. But yeah, there's definitely a difference in the amount of curl on one side of the sheet versus the other, and I think it's actually beneficial to, especially if you haven't played on this sheet. It's one thing to view it online, but to actually live it is a different experience. So I don't mind having an open start, because there might be a flash here or there might be a missed shot, whatever, but given this kind of opening end, it leads to more opportunity to it'll even out.
Absolutely. And so Team Salari has a plan. I think before the game, they talked about having an open first end because they called 2 4-foot stones now, and Team Middaugh has the same kind of plan, playing this open hit for this next shot here. Trying to make the double, but as long as one goes and sticks around, that's kind of their goal here. So they are going with the curlier side of the sheet, but it looks like Middaugh took a little bit more ice here, so let's see what happens.
You can see the sweepers really doing their best to hold it there.
And again, it just sharp pebble on that curl side. I think the rocks are really just going to take off there.
I think it just really speaks to that side of the sheet.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really interesting, especially contrasting this first end to last draw's first end.
Yeah.
It was a little bit open, but at the same time, we saw a lot more play on one side of the sheet. And it was what we call the straighter side, even though the straighter side still curls.
Yeah. So you're gonna see Grace Elliott come out here and probably try to throw a tight guard over the rug that is on the top of the button. And traditionally speaking, today this has been the straighter side, but as the night goes on and they're not playing on a fresh scrape, they're playing on a pebble and nip. So it might curl a little bit more on this side. So we'll see how the sheet reacts in the evening compared to what it did this morning.
I have the utmost confidence in the ice maker for Dundas Valley Golf and Country Club.
I think that he's listening.
I hope he's listening. If he's not, that's totally fine. But
he's on his way home.
No, he's oh yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
he has to be here at 6 tomorrow.
Okay, enough of Rob. But but no, Rob is whenever I have curled at Dundas Valley, he always says the same thing. It's going to start off a little quicker. It's going to start off a little straighter. And as the ends progress, you'll see it kind of have a little bit more curl, maybe slow down a little bit, and then it'll just change as ice normally does.
So I think the call was the double, and they did make the hit, and they stuck around, so they did adjust from the first 2 stones. You're gonna see Team Salari put this in the top 8 foot, continue to put the pressure on as much as possible. So you'll see Grace try to put this in the top 8 foot.
Fun fact about Team Salari. This morning, when we opened the door, I said they were Team Salari. And they now have embraced that, and I think they said their team mascot is a celery stick. So hats off to them for being good sports and having a great mascot that matches their Skip's last name. A+. Kind of. But for the most part.
So it looks looks like the straighter side is continuing to be a little bit faster.
Yeah, and I think that's something that we've seen through our first 3 draws.
Yeah.
And I think it'll just be interesting to see how the ice reacts, especially it being our first late night game. And also, like you said previously, it not having that scrape, just having the pebble and nip.
And to be fair, earlier in the day, the scrape, we did a pebble and nip draw, and it reacted pretty similar to the scrape draw. So that just goes to show for Rob how consistent his ice is. If he's listening, that was Sam Steep talking and not Ryan Hahn. So Team Middaugh here is going to want to make this hit and roll or a double here, and I think they just got caught up on the straight side, but makes one disappear, gets the job done.
Yeah, and I think another thing that's going for Team Middaugh right now is they have one of those dangerous nibblers. It's sitting out there in the wings, all the plays in the middle right now, and a lot of the blue rocks are clustered, but it's one of those ones where if the end isn't managed effectively, that could end up on the board.
Yeah, so you're going to see Abby want to put this about the top 8 like they've been going for the last 2 stones, and try to kind of guard the ones that are in the back of the 8 foot. And it looks like this rock isn't heavy, so you're going to see Grace trying to sweep this as hard as she can to get to the center. Looks like a good team shot. Looks like a good sweep.
Yeah, a great team shot in the first end. Can hear the communication from the skip, trying to get that rock moving closer to the center line.
And a great call by Emily Middaugh here. The nose is absolutely the call. You're going to be shot, you're going to be shot frozen in the back, and Team Salari has to follow you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that double combination, as long as they can stay frozen to that back rock, it really does benefit Team Middaugh. But it's throwing on that side that's been a little bit funky early on. So it'll be interesting to see how that side responds. And I think it really does depend on the weight choice and that crisp release that we've been talking about.
Yeah, we've seen that side move quite a bit, so looks like we're going to get some moving around of the rocks. And now Team Salari has to be careful, because there are 2 yellow biters that could come into play if Team Middaugh has a double to make. So this draw has to be very careful to make sure you're still 3rd shot, and you make sure you're in a really good spot, because sometimes those biters come back to haunt you later in the end.
Yeah, they literally bite you.
Yeah, so Abby's going to try and put this in the full 12, top 8, above their back blue stones.
What do you think about this call, Sam? Do you like throwing another one in the house, or would you prefer a hit, or maybe a guard? What do you see?
I think it really is team preference.
Okay.
If your game plan was, let's be clean but aggressive, then I don't mind the top 8. You know, it's hard to make a triple.
Yes.
If it was my team, we'd be playing the hit and roll.
Okay. On which one?
On the one in the top 12.
Okay.
And trying to do a 2-for-1, as Stuart Anderson would always say.
Shout out to Stu.
Yeah.
You've been name dropped in everyone.
That's what happens when you have the same coach for 3 years. But that's kind of what we really work on, especially at a young age. You really want to work on those, executing those easier shots as good as possible. And it looks like they got a little bit more curl than they wanted, but now there is 1 less blue in play.
Yeah, and I think interestingly enough, they got curl on the side that we've been kind of deeming the straighter side.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that could be an element of the ice that changes as the night goes on.
Yeah. And it kind of similar to the men's draw that we just broadcasted. They're using that straighter side a little bit more. This is the first end, but it's good to see, and I like that they've adjusted their broom.
Yes.
The skip has slowly been moving their broom inside to where it needs to be for the straighter draw. So you're gonna see Abby. I was calling Avery Abby, so just kind of flashback to the draw 2, but I'll get back.
Yeah, we're not getting to draw 2 commentary. No. That was not good.
So Abby's goal here is to put this top 12, top 8. Grace's goal is to get this rock as far as possible. A good sweep, try to make a curl, and I think that's going to work.
I don't mind where it ended up. I don't think it's guarding the full stone, especially on that
side,
on the swingier side. But at the end of the day, throwing that guard has given her an out.
Yes.
That no matter where Middaugh rolls here, they're always going to have that guard to draw behind, or maybe hit and roll behind, or what may have you.
And the caster's curse, as I said, there are those biters that might come back to
hey, I said
bite
it first.
Salari in the end.
I
think I said it.
Wow, okay, sure.
But I don't want to be cursed, so you can say it if you want.
Well, I think, I think on some of them, yes, it's been a curse, but I think this one is more so, I think it's more so house management. And I think that it's not, I think it's house management, and I think that it's just important to keep in mind that anything that's in those 12 feet circles can end up on the board. And I think I've been quite literally bitten by those so many times that it's easier to just see it and be like, oh no, not that. But yeah.
2019.
But
a big sweep here to try to get it by the guard, and they just rubbed it. See if this sticks around for one of those. No, just gonna glide a little farther.
I love the weight call for that, though. I like that controlled weight that the sweepers can get involved and really help make the shot for the thrower.
And in the first end, they're still kind of figuring out where to put the broom on that side.
Yeah.
And Abby is gonna find out right here how much it actually curls. Now she had amount of ice.
Yes.
So, thrown with good rotation, this should be very close with the line that we've seen anyways. But another one of those, yes, it's the first end, but a big shot, because if this doesn't hit the rings, Team Middaugh has a hit for 3. So just because it's the first end doesn't mean you're not throwing a pressure shot at it.
I really liked the release there by the skipper, Abby. It seemed what I thought to be pretty positive, but all of a sudden it just
it might have
grabbed. Yeah.
Which is unlucky. It's trying to come back to guard their blue one. Back up
look
with
it
a
over
big
hard.
sweep.
Oh wow, great sweep, great, and you like to see that
Never
effort. Yeah, exactly. Knowing that yes, that shot picked, and that's unfortunate, but I'm still gonna make the most with what I have.
Yeah, it's unlucky, especially on the skip's last stone at the end. But it's really good to see that they're working hard on a shot that might not go their way. So it's good resilience and so as we talked about for Abby, for Emily, this is a big shot. Even though it's the first end, 3 is a really good start to the game. So
yeah, and their team has been struggling with this spot.
This path is tricky. So it'll be. I like the weight she chose on her first stone, and it looks like similar weight on her second one. So I'm shocked they have to make it curl.
Yes, me as well.
And it's a great shot, right
Nice
on
shot.
the cross. Yeah. They quickly stopped making it curl.
Yes.
3 points for Team Middaugh after the first end. Team Salari is going to try and bounce back with hammer on the second end.
So Sam, is there anything that you think is notable after our first almost complete day of play?
You're talking about the whole day. The sheet that we're commentating on, I think the biggest advantage you see is the teams that figure out that curl side the fastest are coming out on top. It really is going to just come down to execution and figuring out the ice faster than the other team, especially in the first event of the year.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point, and I think it seems like the common message on our sheet is both sides are great, curling ice, but they're different, and you need to make sure that you're able to manage them effectively to get that optimal rock placement.
So Team Middaugh ended up hogging. She was sweeping that, so I'm going to say she ended up hogging that stone. But you're going to see Rebecca try and throw the corner guard here.
I like this call. They understand that
Yes,
they're down.
Early.
Yes, it's early, but they're down 3, and just this last end in a nutshell summarizes what the whole day has been so far. Aggressive play, lots of points on the board.
They're not calling the corner guard.
Well, we're 0 for 2.
We'll get better, maybe.
We hope.
The shot that they called is made. And you know what? I don't mind it because that curly side is hard to adjust. And I like that Team Middaugh's going inside out here.
Yeah, I feel like to make sure that you have the most chance to...
It's a little bit more predictable inside out.
And to get your sweepers involved in this, I feel like it would be easier coming inside out, just knowing how much is coming off of that sheet one side.
And they haven't watched the sheet all day like we have, but we know this inside out handle is a little bit straighter than expected.
Yes, you're right.
So we'll see if this and the caster's curse strikes again. 2 for 2. I'm gonna stop talking.
To be fair, she did release the rock, I think, before you talked. But so here we see Salari, I believe they are looking to split the house. I think it'll be interesting to see, because I believe that's similar ice to what they took to get to the other side, which is a little bit straighter.
It might be a little bit of, I forget that this is the side that curls, because it is the second end, and maybe they haven't watched the live stream before. And the rock just over curls on them.
Yeah, so I think...
Just like we were talking about.
Yeah, so we're 4 for 4 on the curse.
Yeah. And we're not going to predict any more shots.
No. We're just gonna talk.
We'll ride along with the parents at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And not predict anything else. So they're gonna go for this inside out hit again and make the adjustment.
Did you see if they either lessened the weight or decreased the ice?
They did call control. I wasn't sure if that was the call the first time.
Yeah, I think the first one might have been control,
okay.
Or the call might have been control, but maybe it came out a little more than that.
Yeah. Well, the hit was made. They made the adjustment.
Perfect.
And Team Salari is going to go and try to make... They're talking about freezing or hitting.
What do you like here, Sam? Freeze or hit?
You know, I know you're down 3, but it is only the second end. So whatever you're most comfortable with, I think the hit is a lot easier to make than the freeze. And with that side being as tricky as it is, I don't mind the hit at all. Because if you make it, then the team has to make, Team Middaugh has to follow you down and make another hit.
True. And it's also... Yeah, there's going to be a similar trajectory, but it's still a different path. So you never know if potentially there's a run out here, or...
We haven't seen an inside-out hit this wide all day.
No,
so
not on this side.
It'll be interesting to see how that works.
It seems to be quite positive for rotation.
Yeah, that will look like it went through the stone on the above camera there.
Yeah, I think
Just under curled. And I like this call from Emily. Just put it in the top 4, kind of splitting the rings, but still putting the pressure on Team Salari to make a good shot. She's not throwing, but I just want to make sure.
yeah.
It looks like they're trying to split the rings here and keep the pressure on Team Salari.
But still, you see that side swooping in there.
Curling good.
And I like to see the positive release on that side of the ice. You know, or well, maybe not yet, but we're learning and observing, and eventually you'll see that this side is very swingy.
Yeah.
So it's good to see that adjustment for the positive.
If we haven't mentioned it yet.
Yeah, maybe we haven't,
but that side does curl.
Just a smidge.
Looks like Team Salari's going to try and follow Team Middaugh down with a freeze, which I like because Team Middaugh went a little deeper than they wanted. Yeah. And you are down 3, you do want to score. Keeping in mind you do want to keep the scoring area big enough for your skip to make sure you score your 1.
Yeah, and the other thing I like about this shot, Sam, is that Salari is down 3 points. So to get those back, they're going to need to play a little bit more of a finesse game. And I think as many opportunities as you can have to try to get more experience or more knowledge on what the ice is doing, maybe feel a little bit more comfortable with your draw or finesse game, like I think it's nothing but beneficial to take that opportunity.
Yeah.
And although...
Unfortunate that was just about 3 feet heavy.
Yeah.
But you still stuck around in second shot. Team Middaugh still needs to hit it. And they do need to come on the trickier side.
Exactly, and I think the other thing here too is I don't think Middaugh is looking for a nose hit. I think if you see a nose hit, you will see Salari freeze in there, maybe tap that rock that's back 4 foot to make a little bit of a wall. So I think the play here is to hit and roll one way or the other.
A little bit of a lineup change for this team compared to last year. Emily Middaugh used to throw vice stones, and now she's skipping, which this is, like we talked in the men's draw earlier, this is a team that have stuck together in the U18 level, which you don't see often. And they really want to try and put everything together and make a run, even though this year, unfortunate, COVID has made U18 halted that. But it's nice to see teams stay together at a young age, because you just don't see it anymore. And that helps with their development, so it's good to see.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Sam. I think there are so many junior teams, whether it be U18, U21, what have you, that just go for it for a year, and then if it doesn't work out, change. And although that can work for some, and that's their choice, and that's totally okay, the development aspect of that team unit, that team cohesiveness, it's really hard to fully establish that
absolutely agree.
In 8 months.
Yeah, and not to get curling political, but you see the Alberta teams continue to get better because they stick together. They have that strong program there in Alberta.
Yeah.
That really, they pick the players and they really develop together as a team. Now they do have the funding for that, and they have a ton of players. And here in Ontario, we have so many good curlers that we can't really do that. So it's nice to see the young teams deciding themselves to stay together and develop together. Really putting the onus on them to work together as a team. And it's good to see at the U18 level.
Yeah. So back to the game. We saw a miss by Team Middaugh, but then it was followed up with a heavy draw from Grace, I believe. And
It was Avery's first.
Avery, my apologies. But I think that speaks to that sort of makes after misses. And it's important to try to not re-gift the gift you've already received.
probably one of the biggest things you learn in U18 and U20 and adult curling is that
in any form
any
of curling,
formal curling
yes.
ever is makes after misses is something that you learn as you go.
Yeah.
And you don't realize how important of a stat it is maybe early on in your development, but you start to realize how important it is.
Yeah, because those are opportunities to have to change the trajectory of the game.
Yeah. So 2 great hit and sticks on the tricky side of the ice. So it's good to see that they're making the shots that they call. And looks like Emily Middaugh is going to try and duplicate that. So Team Middaugh is perfectly fine with playing the hit game up 3 and trying to hit and stick and make the shot for 2.
We're looking for a 3rd hit and stick in a row. It looks like it's coming down well. And it looks like Team Salari is going for that same hit, pardon me. It's nice to see that after a couple of misses, both teams are hunkering down and really making sure that they're taking the time to execute these more fundamental shots very well.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's nice to see 3 perfect shots in a row, and Abby's going to try and do it again.
Yeah. So it's good to see there a nice positive release with a lot of rotation. Should really help this rock as it travels down the ice.
Great sweeping by Grace, head down the hallway, makes the hit and roll, puts it a new path that now this is a different look for Emily Middaugh on her last stone.
And interestingly enough, she's taking the other handle because we've seen this inside out path very wide. And then I believe in the same sort of line, or a similar line that it is right now.
Yeah.
So, but
probably a comfort zone. She probably knows that she likes her
intern
hits.
Yeah.
And she's like, you know what? I know the ice is going to react this way. It's about a foot off the stone, like it has been on that side of the ice all the day.
Yeah.
So she's probably just confident in that side.
I really like the decisiveness, even though she's thrown the other handle. She put the broom down and said, "Look, this is the shot, and I'm gonna execute."
Yeah, and I'm not sure how much skipping experience Emily's had. I haven't personally seen her throw skip stone, but I like how decisive she is already.
Mm-hmm.
And this might only be her 2nd game at skip. So big sweep here to try and hold it, and just over curls.
Yeah, I think that part of the ice, it's weird. I don't know. I feel like parts of it are really going, and then you'll move 6 inches one way, and it'll completely change. So. Final shot here by Abby from Team Salari, looking to get full 12-foot for 2 points. 2 points would be really good for her right here, and it looks like they're just dusting it in, which is awesome. And it looks like it'll be a count of 2 blue. So that tightens the gap between Team Middaugh and Team Salari, resulting in a Middaugh lead 3-2. Playing the third end, Middaugh has hammer. A nice shot by Rebecca there. I like how Team Salari, or pardon me, Abby Salari, kind of signaled to her team, know what, let's have an end meeting. Let's talk through some things, maybe some things we want to do differently, maybe some things that were going well. And I think the best part of about that is that communication can do wonders for a team and their dynamic. And I think just knowing that you have those sisters out there to support you is really important. So it's really good to see that.
It's just good to see communication at this level be so good already in their most likely their second competitive game of the season, right?
I know, it makes me, I flash back to when I was 17, 18.
And how bad our communication was?
Bad is a word you could use. I would use non-existent, potentially. But
it's just a learning curve, and it's like obviously everyone is still learning in the sport, and that's why you continue to curl. It's just like golf. It's just like any Scottish sport.
Any Scottish
learning never stops. And it's good to see at a U18 level that they're already communicating and in the second game of the season, as well as they are, both teams.
Team Salari is
big
going.
Sweep here to get a by Avery, and they do make it by the guard.
Great throw by Rebecca to just get by that guard. Finish in.
I like this call from Team Middaugh. This is the traditionally straighter side. It is curling on them, so big sweep here. And as long as that rock does not exit, it's good. 5 rock roll still in play. A tick, if you will. That's not a bad miss.
I know. That goes down in the record books for me as a made shot.
Yep.
I like the result of that, and it's kind of, it might have not been everything they were going for, but it just speaks to the weight control they had. With the proper weight on that shot, you have more tolerance of good things to happen.
Absolutely.
And I think we just witnessed one of those.
It's good to see. You really didn't see that a lot back when we were juniors, and mixed doubles kind of made that corner tick a shot in the regular curling too, in 4-person curling. And I know that wasn't the call, but it's a great tolerance, and it really opens up, when you're up on with hammer, really opens up the game.
Oh, 100%. Like, it's one of those things where if you do enough things right, even if you don't necessarily make the shot, eventually good things will come your way.
And a little bit of an overcurl, but it seemed to work out, even though they aren't shot rock. There's another blue in play. Team Middaugh is going to have to make either a hit or a freeze here. I don't mind the hit and roll on the top one either.
Yeah, I think if I'm Team Middaugh, I would prefer to play that blue rock that's up front and hit and roll to be in front of that kind of barrier. To use that to your advantage, and although one of those stones is your color, it's still protecting a more valuable one, that one being the one in front of it.
Yeah, absolutely. With the new COVID rules, you've been seeing a lot of kind of musical chairs, if you will, with the sweepers switching back and forth a lot because they take turns sweeping and they want to be on the straighter side like Jessica is right now. And it looks like they're trying to play the audible, and it's just going to overcurl on them. Just unfortunate how that worked out.
Yeah, I think that was that the curl turn, Sam? Was
yes.
That okay? So it was gonna swing a little more, but overall the setup it's an interesting setup because I wouldn't necessarily say that it favors either team. I don't. What do you think Team Salari is calling here? A guard or
I believe she tapped top 8.
Top 8,
which is I think it's a great call because it's really hard for Team Middaugh to run it back there and not jam on anything. So Grace here really wants to focus on weight control, whether it's a really tight guard or top 8, top 4. You just don't want to miss heavy here on the curl side. And a good amount of rotation, which I'd like to see on that side of the ice for sure.
Yeah, I have a feeling that the teams have started to notice that difference in ice surface.
Absolutely.
And are trying to do their best to make the adjustment. I've very rarely seen light rotation on the swingier turn.
Yeah. A big sweep by Rebecca there, and a slight over curl. So I believe Team Middaugh will be trying the double here. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see what. Now we are closer to the center line, but this, with firm weight on this straighter side, tends to travel quite straight.
Yeah, I think the mission of this shot right now is blue first, double second. I think. Yeah, and I think Leslie's keeping that in mind when she's looking at the shot. She knows that the tolerance is to just make the hit and roll. The double is extra, and you call for the double.
Absolutely.
But just making sure you get rid of it and move over is really vital here.
And the caster's curse is struck again.
I have hope. Okay. They removed it.
And I'm just
so
gonna bite my tongue from now on.
We realize that we're bringing down the average of these curlers by approximately 5 to 7%. But we like to think that the entertainment value that we provide the viewers at home is worth it. Yeah, maybe.
Absolutely. That's okay.
That's okay.
Families can be quite big.
Yes.
So Avery's goal here is to make the hit and stick, or at least make contact with the yellow and try to get that yellow out of the rings here. And it looks like the straight side is hitting everyone again. They might get a little wick and a little tick. And they are shot rock, so they did get a favorable rub there.
Yeah. I think if you're Team Salari, you're taking that.
Yeah.
The force
better
is
than through the hole.
Exactly, and the force is still in play for them because if you see
a hit and stick here.
Yeah, if you see, oh, the angle's a little steeper than I thought. I think a nose hit is actually what Middaugh's looking for here.
Absolutely.
Because that angle is just a little too steep.
Yeah.
For a double.
Too steep.
Too Sam steep.
Too steep.
But yeah.
So Mara's goal here is to hit and stick. Maybe roll. You could probably get away with rolling about a rock to the right side.
Yeah.
Her right, our left.
Sure.
Not to confuse everybody. And it looks like the curl side is striking again. So
I know. Sam, do you see it curling more than the other 3 draws, or do you? What do you? What do you?
I think it's just they just quite haven't adjusted. That center line, coming off that center line, is moving quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen that quite as much as we have seen this game already. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams adjust to that and how both teams adjust to how much it is curling. So maybe they start throwing the straight side, or maybe they just give a little more ice or throw harder. Maybe just throw the peel weights and take the curl rate out of it. It really depends on what kind of a team you are and what kind of adjustments you like to make as a team.
Yeah.
Because it's not all up to the skip, it's also up to all 4 players to agree on the adjustment to make, because obviously there needs to be an adjustment made by both teams.
Yes.
So whichever is made, as long as all 4 players are on the same page, that's all that matters. And I think you're going to see a hit and roll by Team Middaugh.
I like that call. No,
and it'll be interesting to see what adjustment she makes here. And I think that's exactly what they're talking about right now.
Yeah, and I think making sure that everyone's on the same page for those adjustments is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, the onus is on everyone to make these adjustments.
Absolutely.
It's not just one player or half of the team. Everyone needs, and that's the beauty of curling.
Yeah.
It's a team sport, so everyone needs to come together and decide on how they're going to adjust.
Absolutely. And as we talked about on previous draws, every person has a job on your team, right? Whether it's tracking the paths for draw weight, or if you're the skip, putting the broom down, or calling the shots, if you're the lead, you know, every person should have a job on your team.
Yes.
And it seems they did make an adjustment. They did throw lighter.
Yes.
They decided to throw the board weight there other than throwing control. And just over curled. So for Team Salari, Abby's going to want to put this top 8, top 12 above their shot stone that's in the back 4 and try to put the pressure on Team Middaugh.
Yeah, I think that's the call here, and I think that ice, it's more than what I've seen been given before, but at the same time, like we've said previously, I feel especially when you're throwing that out turn coming home for the right-handed curler, I think you can never give too much. What was it? We had one rock in the Stratton Jones game, and they almost took too much ice. Yeah. But they still got by. So
it's interesting that we're talking about this, because Grace has stayed on the curl side the whole time, and now this rock is slightly going to over curl.
Yes.
Even though they took a ton of ice, and it actually ended in quite a good spot, because now Team Middaugh has to make a decision. You know, do you go the straight side to make the hit and roll, or do you pay the freeze? And as a skip, that's definitely, it's your preference.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily, I feel like it's, like you said, it's just the shot that the skip feels the most comfortable throwing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those where execution trumps strategy.
Yeah.
You can get to that shot rock in about 3 to 4 different ways.
Yeah.
It's about the one that you feel the most comfortable making.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that her and Mara were talking, and they said, you know what, let's give more ice.
Yes.
Because we've seen that this rock is over curled. Because when Emily first put the broom down there, like, they started talking, communicating to each other. So it's good to see that they're seeing that this side is curling more.
Yes.
So it's good adjustment, and obviously, as I say that, they bring the ice in a little bit more, but it's hard to believe how much it curls over there. Especially when you sit in the hack, it's hard to believe that it's curling that much.
No, it really is, and I think I don't mind the decrease in ice as long as Emily is in the hack thinking, okay, positive. We need to have that positive, crisp release out to the broom, knowing that it'll come back, because it will.
Yep. It obviously it is her out turn, so you tend to think that those are a little bit straighter than most righties in turns.
Yes.
But it looks like this is going to be a big sweep from Jessica here.
Yeah.
You saw Savannah Byers, the first sister, earlier today in our first women's draw, and now we have the older sister.
Ooh.
On Team Middaugh. Looks like her weight was a little bit light, but still think we could have used a little more ice on that side.
Yeah.
And it's just hard when you're sitting in the hack. It's hard to believe how much it's curling.
No, it is. And I think if sheet 2 came with a sign,
Yeah.
the sign would say 2 feet more ice, please. and I think
you'll see the adjustment after this end. I think a huge.
Yes, I think the ladies are seeing the consistent curl and just more of the consistent patterns that the ice is giving them.
Yeah.
So, but again, where the broom is positioned right now for Team Salari, I'm thinking it's gonna be
not max ice.
Yeah, I would say it's min, and I think this rock is gonna get close to that Yellowstone.
Yeah. So her goal here, Abby's goal here, is to put this about top 8 and choke off that draw as much as possible. Now, if you do end up light, a nice tight guard, cutting that draw path is really good as well. So you just definitely need to know your tolerance here and how close Rebecca's staying to the rock. It seems like it's close for weight.
Yeah, and I was gonna say this before she threw, but I didn't want to get called out for cursing. So I think, again, the tolerance here is light. And that's where it is, which is fine. But bringing that rock beside the other one or even deeper, it just makes it easier for Emily to make the shot or at least cut you down.
And I love that Emily and Mara already talked about what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They've taken a foot more ice at least here, which when Emily gets in the hack, it's going to look like a lot. But as long as she trusts it and throws similar weight, maybe a couple more feet, you're going to put it right on the pin. So
yeah, and I think the weight out of hand.
She's asking for more, which is nothing wrong with that.
I know. I saw that and I was like, I'm totally on board with more ice.
Yes. So big shots.
It is, and it's a big team shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yep. Emily's job's done as soon as she releases the stone.
So I think we're getting signals.
Leslie's calling heavy, but this is the slower side, so we'll see how this rock curls.
It's really
they're calling for line, and it is really diving. They need the backing, I think is what the sweepers are calling. And that's a great shot under pressure.
Great team shot.
Your second game of the season, that's a great team shot.
Yeah.
So Team Middaugh will take one and take a 4-2 lead going into the fourth end.
Cheers, guys. Cheers. Cheers.
Sean and Ed, they're known for their lager, and that requires a certain meticulous nature in brewing that kind of beer.
Lager is the toughest beer to make. If you make a mistake, it shows the faults really easily.
That's lovely.
This is jam-packed with flavor.
You're making me thirsty, buddy.
Oh, that's like cotton candy almost.
Oh, wow. You could tell that the brewer knows what the hell he's doing.
Not sure what happened to that stone, whether it grabbed out of her hand, but definitely went the direction they didn't want it. They obviously called for a center guard, so yeah, I think with that curl side, it definitely could have grabbed. We've seen a couple grabs on that side.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think all of a sudden it kind of just took a turn.
Yep.
So I think it's a combination of the both, and it just speaks to how much that side is moving.
Yep. A great adjustment by Emily Dahl on that last stone of the third end. And it's not us. So Team Salari is going to try and draw around this corner guard. And Grace with another head down sweep, which we've seen multiple times today by multiple athletes. And it's great to see the physical condition that these U18 athletes are in at such a young age, being great sweepers already.
Yeah, I think the U18 game has definitely evolved immensely
a lot.
from when you and I were playing in it 4 to 5 years ago.
And I think that the help of Curling Canada bringing in a U18 national really motivated these young curlers to get to that next level and be on that arena ice that all of us want to be on.
No, I completely agree. And I think as much as a good job Curl Canada has done, I think it's the quality of curling that we've seen so far. I think it's a shout out to all the local clubs.
Absolutely.
I think the local Little Rock programs, and
that's where we all started.
Exactly,
right?
And all the volunteers that started at developing these athletes at a younger age. I feel like so often people think, where's the money? And they think Curl Canada or wherever, but we all started somewhere.
Yeah, it's the investment of the volunteer coaches, the parents. That's your first sponsor, right? Let alone finding sponsors for your team. Your first sponsor is your parents, and your first sponsor is that volunteer coach at your local club that you started in.
Yeah.
You know, me growing up with Team Doig, we started in a barn in Seaford. And, you know, we had the volunteer coaches, and that's how you started, and that's how you fell in love with the game. And I'm sure all of these athletes, they have all similar stories of how, you know, some Ottawa coach approached them and said, why don't you curl?
Yeah, exactly.
And you fall in love with it, and you kind of get bit by the bug, and that's what these teams are out here for. And yes, we're in a global pandemic that is the first time for all of us, younger generation, to see what a pandemic is like. And
but the fact that we're able to come together as the curling community, both on a national scale as well as a local scale, really speaks to the quality of culture that's inside the curling community.
Being as safe as possible. Like, as you can see on the live stream, there's dots on the ice where the athletes that aren't throwing are standing. Even though it's your own team, you're being separated by everybody as much as possible. You see the second sweeper is at least 6 feet behind the stone to create more space. In the skips, you see the skip that isn't control the house be behind the hack, because we're just trying to keep as much space as possible. And you see all the athletes. The most important thing is all the athletes are wearing masks 100% of the time in the building, on the ice, and we're being as safe as possible. And in the last draw, we saw Rob Matheson sanitizing the stones between ends, and we sanitized the scoreboard, and we're just being as safe as possible, so these young athletes can compete still and have an outlet, because a lot of sports aren't running right now. So a lot of these multi-sport athletes can't play the other sport that they want to play. So it's really great to see that we still get to run this event, and we still get to play the sport that we all enjoy playing.
Yeah, and I think back to the game where, yeah, I know that was a bit of a side tangent, but
it's a clear end, you know, I'm just entertaining the viewers.
Okay, well, so Is that back blue one in?
No,
Did it
it's
just
out.
snuck out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Talk about back to the game. I'm still paying attention.
Okay, come on now. So, what do you think about the ice Emily's giving here? We know that this is the swingier turn.
I think it's easy enough to say that's min amount of ice.
I think it depends on the weight, because I've seen Leslie throw it, and she has that beautiful crisp release. So I think it depends on the weight, but I think
like they decided to throw a board.
Yeah, and I like that
And,
softer weight.
a big sweep here by Jessica to hold it, and a great shot made. That would have been a very intimidating shot to look at when you're in the hack with all of these stones that have been over curling on both teams.
Oh, 100%, Sam.
So, great shot, and Team Salari is going to try and follow them down. Just an update across all the sheets. Sheet 1, Team Madden is up 4-2 on Team Ramsey. On sheet 4, we have a tie game between Team Akers and Team Beauchamp. And on sheet 5, we have Team Smith leading Team McDonald 3-2. Looks like they're trying to urge this rock to curl.
I see it moving. It's getting over
think
there.
it's going to. And right on the beak.
Yeah.
2 great shots in a row by both teams.
So if you're Team Salari there, Sam, do you like the nose, or are you trying to roll under to get that coverage?
I like the roll under,
Okay.
but you definitely want to make sure you're nosing, right?
You need to
definitely
stick around.
Want to stick around, because as soon as you roll out, Team Middaugh is going to try and hide behind that guard, right? Or they're going to draw. Team Middaugh is perfectly fine with a blank.
Oh yeah, and
Right?
I think I don't think I need to ask Team Middaugh that. I think I can look at the scoreboard, and it tells me the answer.
Yeah, like they're up 2, and they kind of want to come to even ends, right? To play the scoreboard.
Yeah.
So,
So just sorry to cut you off, but that one just went
that one
sideways.
jumped on them. Yeah.
And I
And
like
they threw
the
more
weight.
weight. Yeah, they threw more weight than the first time. And interesting enough, Team Salari's not going to draw around the guard. They're going to play to the open side.
Well, maybe they feel they can get a jam on that.
Well, this could be strategically wise. This could be that they've noticed that both teams have struggled hitting it on that side.
That's true.
So this could be very well be. Let's put this in a difficult spot in the ice, and make them make the shot.
Yeah, like put it in the spot where maybe we've seen an unforced error here or there, but
exactly.
forced you to make it.
Yep.
So no, that's very
and
good.
they also know the straw path, right? They've played this straw multiple times already
Yes.
this game, and great shot.
Great sweeping there as well.
Yeah. And there is I'm not going to say it, but you see the other rock in play.
And that's enough about that.
But it's in your field of view, right? When you're the thrower, it's there. So you have to have everything in mind, and I'm sure Mara is not thinking about that. She's thinking about making the nose hit.
And I really like the handle that's being thrown at this rock.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
Shout out to Mara's curling shoes. She definitely has one of those colorful runners as her curling shoes.
What shoes do you think they are?
I think they're Nikes.
What's their saying? Let's do it or something?
Just do it.
Oh, that was close.
I did not jinx them.
We got away with it. But yeah.
Great shot by Mara, and now Avery's going to try and make this hit and roll under the corner guard.
Yeah, so I just find it interesting. I think something that maybe Abby can look back on later this game is that, so we want the hit and roll now under the guard, but you have that opportunity to put it there.
To make the draw
there and really put the pressure on Team Middaugh. So I think that's something that they can look back on and maybe just think about it. Going really hard there.
Great sweep, and it's going to try
Is it gonna stick?
And it does stick around.
And it
so now
sticks in the spot.
in a very fun
Yeah.
spot, and maybe the players on the ice, all 8 players might not call that a fun spot, but
no.
we get to call it a fun spot.
Yeah.
Because we don't have to throw this shot.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this portion of the ice, those 3 feet, I think that 3 feet piece of ice is really interesting because we're talking about a matter of inches, and the difference in inches changes the trajectory of the shot,
Absolutely.
the speed of it,
Yep.
and the outcome at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so
and for the parents watching that don't follow curling as hard as some parents do, they don't realize that the game changes in a matter of centimeters, in a matter of, so it really comes down to it. And they know that they just watch their kid and watch how much they're having fun, English. And
English.
looks like they're trying to throw a control weight hit here.
It looks like the weight is solid on it, so I think it should not be as affected. Well, this spot's weird because I feel like it's
Great shot. I know they're going to roll out, but that was kind of a guess because they haven't seen a stone in that position yet, really.
Yeah.
Like they have played on that side a lot.
But they've always had different looks.
Yes,
It's always been different
absolutely. Yeah.
parts of the ice
Yeah.
on that spot.
So now Abby's going to try and draw around this corner guard.
So
And
what are you thinking ice-wise on that, Sam? Do you think that's enough ice?
yeah. to put it simple, I do think that's enough ice. I think you can be aggressive here and just try to bite the edge of the 12.
Oh, like almost overbury.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's a good amount of ice, and just try to bring that guard into play as much as possible, because how high the guard is, Team Middaugh could definitely just play hack waiter whether you're full buried or not,
True.
and make the hit.
So force them to see the open side on the way straight side.
And Avery's telling Grace this rock needs to curl.
I saw that one was more of a positive release, and the weight looks
Weight's great.
Yeah. No, it's not mine.
So, as we talked about in the last 3 draws, another big shot for Team Middaugh. They have a 2-point lead. They're playing this tricky inside-out turn, and they really want to hit and stick and make Abby throw at one of their stones.
Yeah, well, I think that's a key part of the U18 game right now, is to make your opponent make a shot.
Absolutely.
And I don't mean that simply.
Yeah.
I mean it, really put the pressure on them to come up with their best curling.
Yeah. I 100% agree with you. I like the weight they decided. Try to bring the curl out as little as possible.
Leslie's trying to bring it over there for them.
And they do the job. And it's a blank attempt here, and we restart in the 5th end. And like we said earlier, in the end, Team Middaugh was probably happy for a blank end here in this end. And for Team Salari, they're perfectly fine with a blank too. They keep hammer. Their goal in the 5th end is to get their deuce and tie the game.
No, exactly. And I think it's one of those ends where it could have went either way, and it's not a bad outcome as a blank.
Yeah. So
yeah,
we restart and we get ready for the 5th end.
Is that the second blank that we've had this whole tournament?
This whole day.
This whole day.
Second blank. First blank on the female side of the tournament. And
True.
We had one blank
On the male side.
on the men's side.
Apparently, from our
women's side.
in-the-field reporter, blank attempts don't happen in the U18 circuit, but Team Middaugh and Team Salari are proving him wrong.
Salary.
Did I say celery?
No, you said salary. Oh, Ryan's had a long day.
Too much, Sam.
I'm not the one saying names wrong for once. So.
Yeah, good job.
I know, curling master. So you're gonna see Team Middaugh put this in the top 4 foot, and we're back to the straighter side, which means we're back to a little bit. Oh, tight guard. They're calling a tight guard.
Ooh.
The aggressiveness is back. We like to see that.
Yes, we like the excitement.
Yep. Keeps us entertained at all times. So Rebecca is gonna put the corner guard up here, I think is the call. Yes, it is. It is absolutely the call.
I like the corner guard here. They're down 2 points, and even though it's an even end,
That's an odd end.
Pardon me, odd end. I meant odd end. I think Team Salari.
There you go.
Yes, got it. I think Team Salari is kind of thinking that it's their time to push.
Yeah.
And that they're going to go for it, and they're going to put a little bit of pressure on. And I think it's really interesting to see that they feel that, and it seems like Team Middaugh feels that way as well.
Absolutely,
With that,
and I think that's why they called the tight guard, is that they know that Team Salari is going to put the pressure on as much as possible to the wings.
Yep.
So put the center guard up. Now Jessica's going to try and put this top 4 foot behind the center guard she just threw, and looks like we're getting caught up on the faster side of the ice a little bit.
Yeah, it's really
trying to catch the curl here, so
yeah. Oh, it looks
interesting that they're bringing it back. I like it. Definitely buried.
yes. I think that's why.
That's why they were doing that. Half buried at least.
Yes, getting it buried.
And that's another thing that these skips have to adjust, putting the broom down from one side where there's never too much ice, and the other side where I need to tighten the ice.
Yeah.
Because yes, it does curl 3-4 feet on the side, but it's not curling 6-8 feet. So it's an adjustment you have to make as a skip to remember that I need less ice here and more ice here. And it's just like the thrower needs to remember that I'd rather be wide than narrow on one side, and I'd rather be narrow than wide on the other. And not to confuse anyone at home, but that's definitely the thoughts that go through these players' heads. And Team Salari, Avery is trying to finish a stone, and they got the double corners up. A little close to center, probably a little closer to center than they wanted, but rocks in play, and that's what they want.
No, exactly. I think if you're looking at the scoreboard and you ask Team Salari, this is the first 4 rock setup total, I think they're good for that.
Absolutely. And now Leslie's going to try and make a nice draw around their center guard that Jessica put up, and put the pressure on Team Salari. And if this is executed well, you're going to see Grace probably peel that center guard. So let's see if I'm correct.
I think it will really depend on the position of this stone thrown by Leslie. I think if it's in a really good spot, what some of my previous coaches have referred to as like the winning zone, and if it gets into that spot, I think Salari has to move it or has to do something with it. It seems that Team Middaugh got caught up a bit on that outside portion of the ice. So maybe just a positive release where you could get away with being a little softer.
Yes, and Emily Middaugh's Guelph coach is trying to take credit for her strategy, Mr. Steve Szymanski, saying that he taught her that. I think mom and dad had a little bit to do with that too, the aggressiveness. It's good to see. And for Grace here, she's going to try and make this hit and roll under the center guard on the straighter side. So again, what we just talked about with thoughts in your head.
Make that adjustment.
Make that adjustment. With my coaching, I had Bruce McRae, and I know you had him come for a couple of your sessions as a team about how just envision the shot.
Yeah.
Envision a made shot. Stop the overthinking of, do I need to be narrow? Do I need to be wide? What's the miss? Just line up, throw the stone at the broom, and try to make curling sound as simple as possible, even though it's a very complicated sport. The mental game is really the difference in between the best teams in the world and the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 300th best team in the world. It's because skill-wise, especially in the U18s, U20s, and young adult curling, skill-wise is very close. There's not a huge skill gap, but strategy and mentally, that's the gap you see.
Yeah. So here we see Leslie. I believe she is trying to come around that centerline guard that was placed there by Jessica.
So that draw came a little bit deep for Team Middaugh, and you're going to see Team Salari play the freeze. I'd really like to see them try and use those corner guards, but the way the rocks are lined up, the freeze is absolutely the call.
Yeah, I agree, Sam. I think I saw this. I was actually having the same thought just when you opened your mouth and beat me to it. But
Dialed in.
Yeah, I think right now Team Salari needs to be thinking about their early game, their first 2 to 4 rocks that their team throws, and think, okay, if I'm going to put up those corner guards,
how do I use them?
Yeah, exactly. How do I use them? How can I construct the end so there's some attempt of coverage that's being provided by it, maybe a split or what have you?
You're seeing both of the teams are kind of getting caught up on the straighter side, adjusting. Yes, this is a little heavy, and it's trying really hard.
Bluish shot. So that bluish shot.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna argue it. If you're Team Middaugh, it's decision. I think you do hit.
Yeah, I think.
Yes, you are kind of creating that great wall behind the back line.
Yeah.
But being up to, no chances. You hit this out, the max Team Salari can score is 4, which I know you're not thinking about that, but you are at the same time. As a skip, you're like, let's eliminate this stone. When in doubt, hit it out.
God.
Sam Steve. Stuart Anderson.
Sorry, just had to recover from that amazing poem brought to you by the Junior Slam series. Just a quick sheet-by-sheet update. On sheet 1, we have Madden leading Ramsey by 6-2, with Ramsey having hammer playing the 5th end. On sheet 4, we have Akers leading Beauchamp 6-2, with Beauchamp having hammer playing the 5th end. And then on sheet 5, we have Smith playing McDonald. Smith leading 3-2, McDonald with hammer playing 4. It just seems like Team Salari is getting caught on the straighter side of the ice. I think the main ways that Team Salari as a whole can get past that is either by dropping the weight lower so that they're involving those sweepers into the mix, or just tightening up the ice. I think a couple times we've seen teams on this sheet give negative ice on that side of the sheet just because it is able to be backed up by the sweepers. As we've mentioned before, these women, as well as every other curler in this competition, seems to have a very good technique when it comes to curling, or pardon me, when it comes to sweeping. And I think using that to your advantage is one of the best ways to maximize your chance of success. So we saw Mara throwing a zone 2 guard to block those 3 shot stones right now, and it looks like Abby is shifting gears from trying to make that draw or that hit, more so the hit because it's not available, and they're looking to tap up one of those close blue stones. I don't hate trying to use those corner guards that they've established. It'll just be interesting to see how they do so, because the tapping that rock straight back it's not the easiest thing to do. And it looks like instead of trying to move their own rock, they're going to go after that yellow rock, zone 3, controlling the control zone. And I think that's a good play in the sense that they're trying to ensure that they score. Because right now, the differential between the two is 2 points. If Team Salari can get on the board, or pardon me, if they can score a point here, I think it would just draw them closer to that striking distance of if there's some opportunities come their way, they can capitalize on them. And it's easier to capitalize on them the closer you are scoreboard-wise to your opponent.
So I think Emily's thinking here, put a top 8, and if you miss light, you're guarding those back 3 stones. Mission accomplished.
No, exactly. And I think if you're Team Middaugh, right now you're thinking, how can I place these 2 rocks?
That's exactly what I just said.
But to get the most pressure on the other team.
Absolutely.
Yes, top 8 foot would do that, but it's...
And right where Mara's broom is exactly where they want this rock to stop.
Yeah.
And
Leslie seems to be finishing it in there to...
They want it to sit, and it just goes a little deeper than they expected.
It's not in a bad position. It's a little deeper than they were expecting, but at the same time, if I'm Team Salari right now, I'm seeing 4 yellow, and I'm a little worried. And I think it's a good call on trying to remove one of them.
Yep.
But I think...
I really like if they only play backline hack here and really focus on rolling under. Because it's going to be hard for Team Middaugh to follow them with how much straighter it is on that side. And the other side is kind of taken out with those corner guards. So a really nice hit and roll here can still set you up for your deuce.
No, exactly. And I think
so that's what Abby's going for here.
I think another thing that Abby needs to take into consideration is throwing a weight where you can keep your shooter around. We've seen a few hit and rolls out or jams or whatnot from their team, and it's just...
This looks really close.
No, it does, and it's great sweeping by Rebecca, I believe.
I think that was Grace. Grace was sweeping that stone, and that was a great hit and roll behind the 4 guards at the front. So now
The-
Team Middaugh is going to try and...
Is there
what
a
you
hole?
say? No, no.
Okay.
No. So your goal here is to choke off that scoring area. Even if you finish top 12 on this side, it's hard for Team Salari to come the other way and make that draw to the 4-foot for their deuce. So you do not need to be shot here. You do not need to steal when you're up 2. Put this in the top 12, tight guard, top 4, big range there.
Yeah.
But really just choke off that side of the sheet.
No, and I think it goes back to something that we actually talked about in the Jones Stratton game. What was the end goal coming in?
Yeah.
And I think if I'm Team Middaugh and I was told that I would force to 1 and have hammer and evens, that I would be satisfied with that. And I'm not sure what the end goal was, but I think it's important to keep that kind of mentality in mind, especially when you're thinking about the tolerance for this shot.
Absolutely. I agree. Where their broom is, it looks like they're trying to go off their own.
They might be.
Which is a good call considering you're still choking off that scent. You're still doing what we just talked about. And she might be more comfortable in throwing the hit and roll over the draw. And that's
Especially-
obviously up to you as a skip throwing the stone. Yeah, playing the hit.
And especially on the straighter side, there should be a more consistent approach to how it curls. Just need to get about quarter on the inside. Oh,
See, the thing with that shot, there was no risk, right?
I
I just think the draw had more opportunity, more misses.
Yeah.
The hit was a lot harder.
and I think the thing is too is that it's all about that leave, and
Yeah.
I think the draw had a lot more potential in making the leave much more difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whereas the shot that was called, it was you make it,
Yeah.
which is great.
Great shot. Yeah.
You're probably stealing.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then something like this happens and you give Team Salari a chance to get back in the game.
Yeah.
Taking
And
it too.
This isn't a gimme draw on this side either, though. Team Salari's got to make a good team effort here and put this right in the 4-foot to tie the game up.
No, exactly. And I think this side has actually caused both teams a little bit more stress when it comes to
A late timeout call, and it does not get called.
I think it's caused a little bit more stress for both teams when they're drawing this path.
Yeah. Rebecca seems to be sweeping, so looks like she needs to drag this rock. Line's good.
It just doesn't
No,
have
it
the legs.
doesn't have the legs to get there, and it just does not seem like it does. So it will be Team Middaugh get what they want, which is a force, and Team Salari kind of gets what they want because they're on the board.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a 1-point game going into the 6th end, and that's nothing we can complain about as viewers because we get to watch a nice close game going into this 6th end.
No, exactly. And I think this 6th end will really tell us kind of the introduction to the story of what this game is and how it's going to end. I think if you're Team Salari, you're trying to build off of what you've been doing previously, and I wouldn't mind seeing them go for a steal, especially in the 6th end,
yeah.
and try to then force Middaugh in 7, and then it's anyone's game.
Absolutely. And if you're Team Middaugh, you're really trying to make sure you score.
Yes.
With being up 1, yes, 1 isn't great, but it's way better than a steal. If you're playing the scoreboard the way you want to, and the way your coaches are wanting you to,
That's
you
more of the
definitely
struggle
want
sometimes.
to score in this end with your Team Middaugh. So
And
I think we're going to see some more rocks in play. And a big sweep by Grace here to try to get this first stone over the hog line.
yeah.
That just can't quite get it there. And that's the adjustment from going from the side that curls more to
yeah.
the straighter side.
If you threw the right-hander out turn there, you're probably a zone 2 guard.
Yeah.
So, no, and I think another thing that both teams, especially Team Salari, need to look at is, okay, we scored. If we can steal, we start to get the ball to roll in our favor, and maybe that momentum could impact the result of the game. And I think if you're Team Middaugh, you're thinking, okay, we gave them a chance for 2, only gave 1, which is okay, but let's keep at it. Let's score in the 6th, and let's do our best to start to close the game.
I'm not sure what exactly happened there for Team Middaugh, whether that rock wrapped or not, but it definitely got a lot of movement.
Yes,
And,
it did look like
I know
it grabbed.
talking to Rob Matheson before the tournament even started, and what I've played here in the years past is that this ice is very release sensitive.
Yes.
So if you're even just a little bit soft, it's going to curl more than if you have a nice clean release. So I think that's definitely what the girls are learning here on that curly side, is just to be as positive as possible. And Rebecca made an adjustment here. Her rock isn't as curling as much, and Avery's just trying to wish it to sit.
Yes. I think
it did.
Yes.
So they got their
guard up. So I think one thing too that might be tricking the athletes, it's a later game, so maybe a little tired. I know I'm feeling it a little here, but obviously they probably are feeling it worse. But I think the other thing to keep in mind is that one side of the ice is demanding a positive, crisp release, whereas the other side you can get away with throwing it a little softer. And the constant change each end of playing both sides is really making all the athletes think, okay, I'm throwing this past this side. How much weight do I need to throw? What release do I need to throw? What's my tolerance? And especially later at night, it can become a lot.
Absolutely, it comes a lot. And a shot like what Team Middaugh just had, where they just skinny past the guard and it goes through, you probably see, even later on this weekend, you'll see them communicating that rock's heavy, and they'll play the wig, and they'll keep that rock in play. That's just another communication thing, where this is the second game of the season.
Yep.
And that only gets better for these young teams when they get dialed in. And I like how much the skips have adjusted.
Yes.
Right? That we are seeing 2 feet, at least 2 feet more ice than we saw in the first 3 ends.
Yes.
So it's good to see that the both teams are adjusting to that.
Also, just gotta throw it out there, shout out to all the sweepers with the weight calls. The weight calls have been very accurate from both teams, and I think that's something that both teams could take away as a positive. Especially that sweeper who isn't able to be physically engaged sweeping the stone. A lot of them have been very accurate at articulating where they think the rock's going, how heavy they think it is, what maybe helping the skip kind of navigate plan B through C. And I think that's something that both teams have done really well.
Yeah, and I know we're in the 6th end, and it's very important to score. But if you're Team Middaugh, do you ever play either the double peel or the single peel and roll into the rings? Just because those staggered guards are so much helping Team Salari.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good point, Sam. I think if those 2 rocks weren't staggered and they were, you could hit both of them on the nose either way. I think
sweep by Jessica here.
Yeah.
It's just gonna overcurl.
And I think this is also why the peel could have been a call, because now your stagger is a double stagger.
Yeah.
So considering if I'm Team Salari, I'm thinking steal.
Yeah.
I think stagger is a great opportunity for them to steal. But at the same time, if Team Middaugh was able to get under that staggered guard, we'd be telling a different story.
Of course. It's a matter of how aggressive you want to be as a team.
Yep.
And obviously all 4 players agreed to play the draw, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like what we talked about in the men's draw, Stratton versus Jones, is how often can you play with fire?
Yes.
And if Grace puts us in a really good spot, top 4, buried behind those 3 guards, Team Middaugh is now chasing for the rest of the end because, like we said, their goal is to score this end.
And look at this rock just walk over sideways. That's the beauty of the ice surface that we have here. It just...
Not a broom to it to the last 5 feet, and they're buried behind the 3 corners, and now you're going to see Team Middaugh try to make this double peel and try to open it up.
Yeah, I think Grace just wanted to give her sweepers a break there. She said, "Know what? I'll let you clean it. I don't want it to pick."
Sometimes you got to be the quarterback, and you just got to throw it.
You just got to throw it there.
Yeah.
And she did a great job of doing so. But I also love to see that Team Middaugh notices that they're in a bit of trouble,
Yeah.
and that they're willing to bail.
Yeah.
Because I think second rock is a great time
Yeah.
to kind of have that
not too late.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not too late. You have the foresight of how the end's constructing, and you're saying, "Know what? I don't like it, so I'm going to change it."
Yeah, they all realize that this is the call.
Yes.
Like if you can really make a really nice hit and roll, move 2 of those guards, try to see the rock in the rings, and really just open it up so your skipper has an open shot on her last is kind of your goal now. 2's not out of the question.
Yes.
But right now you're just trying to bail, so your skipper has a shot, and that's a great shot.
That's a triple peel. Almost. Oh,
Yeah.
did that one go out? The yellow.
Even if it doesn't,
No,
it's all the spin back. Still an amazing shot by Leslie there.
No, that's a game changer.
Yeah.
I think now.
As we were just saying.
Yes. And now all of a sudden, that wall that was right in front of Team Salari Stone has vanished.
Yes.
And now the pressure is back on them to put that wall back up. And I like the ice given for this shot.
Yes.
They understand that it's going to finish, and especially throwing less weight for that guard, it's just going to walk over.
Absolutely. It's gonna be hard to believe if you're Avery in the hack. It's gonna be hard to believe that it's curling that much, like we've talked about. But it's great that they trust each other. Grace is yelling out the weight. She said, you know, it's there. And now, head down, trying to make it curl, which I like to see because I rather my sweeper make it curl on the swing side.
Yes.
Because I know it's just gonna walk over there.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's not the end of the world that you're not guarding shot stone.
Because you're guarding
Because you
guarding
have a
the
center
pin.
guard now.
Yeah, exactly.
And sitting 2 with the center guard, if you're Team Salari, you're not going to complain about that. For Team Middaugh, they have to make a delicate hit roll on the straighter side, or they make the peel, which I love. I love this call if they decide to play the run back.
Where exactly is that rock positioned in the house, Sam? Is it fighting the
Fighting 4-foot, looks like.
Okay. I don't mind the peel. I also don't see anything wrong with hitting the rock in the house, though. There's nothing wrong with being first shot.
Absolutely. I think this is too much ice, and I think if Emily sees, which she doesn't,
Okay.
I think Sherry was
Both
probably going to communicate to her team
to
that
peel the guard.
the miss is
Oh,
narrow. Let's
and it
make.
picked.
Oh, it grabbed on him. Well, let's try to make the best out of what we can and
Get it in there.
bring it into the rings, right?
Yeah, and Leslie was not phased that grabbed. She just said, "Know what? It
She
is
just
what
put
it
her head
is."
down and swept.
Exactly, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, for a pick,
Yeah.
that is a great finish.
Yes.
Right? Like you can't just give up on stones, and that's the second time we've seen it today.
Yes.
Where we've seen a grab or a pick, and we've seen sweepers not give up on it. More than the second time. I think it's been 3 or 4 times where there's been a slight grab, there's been a loss of handle, and the sweeper just doesn't give up on it.
Yeah.
And I like that Abby's calling this hit for Avery to make, because you could be really aggressive if you're shot stone to play the guard, but you know it's only a 1-point game.
No, it's the game is very tight.
So I like this hit, and Rebecca's head down sweeping right out of her hand.
Oh.
A little bit of a tumble.
Oh, it's yeah.
So, though that rock overcurled, it's a great miss to peel that corner guard. So now we're gonna, looks like she's taking less ice here than her first time she called this.
So, what's the call here? Is it
I
a
think
hack
it's
weight hit?
the hack board weight hit and roll under.
Okay.
And now that you are sitting second shot, I like this call.
Yeah. It's
I would have, and this might be more of a male strategy, but I would have played the run back, and I think with Emily was looking at the run back the first time.
yeah.
This looks like it just ran a little straighter than they expected.
Yeah. No, I think. Yeah.
For
it's-
Team Salari,
They're playing.
I like the ice that
Yes.
they're taking here.
And they recognize that this side will move.
Yeah. So they're realizing it's time to put the pressure on. So they make the nose hit. They make the nose hit here. They're sitting a 3, and it's up to Team Middaugh. It's up to Emily to make a nice hit and roll under the guard. Because as we said before, and yes, but I'm talking shots ahead.
Oh, okay. Pardon me.
As we said when this ends began, Team Middaugh's goal is to score, and obviously Team Salari's goal is to
Team Salari.
steal. So another big sweep by Grace here. Not a lot of weight thrown.
But there's a lot of
but,
rotation.
it's made.
And it rolled to a decent spot.
Yeah, so you're probably going to see Team Middaugh
Start.
call a timeout.
Well, both of the coaches are 0-1 on the conversion of timeout calls.
Yes.
Sherry is standing
They're
up.
trying.
Sherry is making the change. Let's see if it's called.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, we
1
got
for
the
3
first
now. Yes.
I didn't even need to commentate what shot they were calling there because I
Yeah.
just knew Sherry was going to call timeout here.
Yeah.
Sherry's going to talk to her team, and if I could read Sherry's mind, I'm going to.
You're going to read Sherry's mind?
And I'm going to attempt it right now.
Okay.
Is they're going to play this heavy draw tap on the shot stone.
Okay.
And make sure the team's all on the same page on this shot because this is, again, a big shot in the game.
Yes, it's one of those parts of the game. It's one of those parts. Yeah, it's one of those parts of the game where we understand, and that we've identified over many games, where this is, I wouldn't say make or break, but it could make or break.
It's a big shot, and I like that Sherry called a timeout. And both teams get to talk to their team for the first time this game.
Yeah.
And there's been a couple attempts of timeouts, but you know the women
They just have
decided to not see.
Well, I don't think it's I don't think it's necessarily a decision, Sam. I think they're just so kind of engulfed in the game,
focused
that they just aren't looking up, and especially early season,
and
you
at this
tend
club,
to see
you do
that.
have to look up quite a bit,
quite literally up.
Yeah. So,
but yeah, so
and being maybe they're just. This is a big game for both teams.
It
right?
is.
So, especially in this 4-game round robin format, every game's important.
Yeah.
So I think they're both just really trying to focus on winning and not. And I know that at least my team has a player that looks up.
Yes.
Right. And
They're the designated
with
coach
this being,
keeper.
Yes, and with this being the first event that they're playing in, maybe that hasn't been communicated right away.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're playing the heavy draw.
Draw. Hack.
tap. See?
Hack. She said hack.
Oh, okay. I basically read Sherry Middaugh's
You need
mind.
to get those ears checked. No, Sherry Middaugh's mind right now is like, those two male commentators. But no, and I like the
I like
fact.
this call.
I like that they
Everyone's
came.
on the same page.
Yeah, on the same page, came together, and they understand the importance of it, and now they're gonna execute. And this side it cuts in as we're seeing.
And Leslie's trying to make it curl as much as possible. And
It's a good
great
shot.
executed shot. That was your problem, Rock.
Yes.
And that's why that was such a good timeout for both teams to get on the same page with each other's teams, because
Yeah.
now if Team Salari doesn't make a perfect hit and roll like she did the first time, Emily's gonna have an open hit.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too is think about the scoring zone. So with that blue rock being virtually on the pin or very close to it, we're talking Middaugh had about 2 centimeters to out-count her. So I really like the idea of moving that rock out, rolling over, opening it up, saying, look, I know...
going to score 2.
No, but I know that I can draw the forefoot, and by making this shot, I give myself that chance.
It's making sure everyone's on the same page that 2's out of the question, so let's just make sure we have a shot to score, because that's how it's very important to score in this end. And for Abby, a hit and stick here to keep the pressure on is very important. So Rebecca is sweeping head down. Looks like she chose a similar weight, a forward weight hit. And this is a big sweep.
It seems to really be curling.
And the curse of the commentators, though I think she's a little lighter than she wanted to throw.
Yeah, I think that was about heavy back line, and I think the call was for about heavy board.
Yeah.
So really, and especially on that curly side, that 4 to 6 feet different in weight really does change how the rocks move down the sheet.
I liked how much rotation Abby threw there. It just didn't kick out quite as hard as she wanted to. So for Team Middaugh, check mark number 1, you're scoring this end. That's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because it's a very important end to score.
Yep.
And this is a very big point in the game.
Oh,
their second point.
No, and I think I think
the team realizes it by how much they're talking, how much they're communicating. Emily hasn't thrown a draw in a couple of ends, so she's kind of asking, what is it the same feel as the first, second end, or do I need to throw 4 or 5 more feet? And I think that's what's been communicated, and big extra point.
Yeah.
So Leslie with her broom down.
I like to see that
sign.
they're cleaning, because it's good in terms they usually means it's close in weight, but also keep the rock clean. It's coming in there. It's on the curl side.
Oh, it picked. And I think they are getting 2. It really grabbed at the end anyways. I'm going to say 2 yellow.
Yeah.
They're kicking stones.
I think
so shot made.
Yeah.
Check mark, 100%. Next on for Team Middaugh. That's a big extra point.
No, it is. It really kind of stretches that lead they had there, and I think it really kind of halts the momentum that Salari was trying to mount through the 5th end.
Yeah.
So it's really a battle that's going on there.
Yeah, it's great to see the second game of the season for these young teams and these close games already. For Team Salari, this 7th end is all about getting your deuce.
Yep.
Don't focus on 3, 4, 5 points. Focus on getting your deuce, and just being down 1 going to the last end. It just amounts to more pressure for both teams. And for Team Middaugh, it's going to be, put this first stone on the forefoot and keep it as clean as possible. And remember your bail points. So.
No, exactly. And I think the main thing to emphasize there, remember your bail points.
Yes.
Because you are leading by 3 points. You have 1 or 2 points that you could give. Obviously, you would prefer to give the least amount as possible, but you could give some.
Shout out to Mara there. It was a big sweep to try to get that in there. Now the rock still did come up short, but a tight guard
is better than a long
one. one, and then
Yeah.
a good sweep. So we've been shouting out our sweepers all day, and we haven't been shouting them out. So all these sweepers have been showing us that athletes, even in the U18 level, are really focusing on the athletic part of curling, which is good to see.
Just a quick mention here, sheet 1, we do have our first final score of the night. Team Madden winning by a score of 8-2, stopping in the 6th end of play. Team Madden really got on a roll with a couple steals of a couple. So it's, I know, the wordplay is great, but it's it just speaks to the aggression that these teams have, knowing that no matter if I have hammer or not, I'm going to do my best to score as much as I can.
So I believe Team Middaugh called the draw around their tight guard, and they got to butter the corner, which they did, and this looks like a good shot. Looks like they're just hoping it sits a little bit, and just behind T-line. That's a great shot. And Rebecca put a great corner guard, and now Abby's asking her to bury a draw around in the top 12, because like we said before, Team Salari's goal is to score their deuce. So they got the corner guard, they're going to try and draw around, and it'll be interesting to see where Team Middaugh goes. I'd like to think they're going to try and draw around that center guard again, but let's see Rebecca make this shot. So Avery is head down sweeping for line here, and they're by the corner, so must be for weight, and it is. She's head down trying to get it there, and that's a good tolerance when you're down 3. Is to have a double corner is really good, especially when you get a rock buried behind those 2 corner guards. I like this call for Team Middaugh to go around again. Make a really nice draw, top 4 foot. You're really putting the pressure on Team Salari. Team Salari is going to have to play a run back, or at least play on the stones that are in the center. So I like this call a lot, considering the 5-rock rule. You can't peel yet. A tick doesn't help you. A throw through doesn't help you. So to put this top 4, follow Jessica's. Leslie's going to try and follow Jessica down the sheet.
So then they're trying to freeze on top, or just stick top 4?
Top 4. I think if you do freeze, you're still on the T line. It's just probably just about a foot deeper than you want to be. So Leslie's going to try and repeat what Jessica did and get through this tight port, considering it curls so much over there.
I know, it's one of those things that all of these athletes have been navigating these ports so well, and it really just speaks to how good they are fundamentally in their release, and their slide is straight, because
this is a great shot.
Yeah, that's a really good shot, and just making the port look like it's not even there.
Yeah, it's making us look like a little bit foolish, but it is a tight port on that curl side, and they've made it look easy twice now.
So are we seeing...
For Team Salari, no, I believe we're seeing a draw around the double corner.
Okay.
For me, I think you're in trouble. I think
Yeah.
you need to be making a play on those center stones, because you draw around the corner. A safe call for Team Middaugh would be peeling one of the corner guards. Or if you want to be aggressive, up 3, play the high center.
That's what I was going to say.
And I know that probably a Team Han call right there.
Yeah. No,
because you guys are aggressive, right?
Yeah.
And so
I think if I'm Team Middaugh, I see that we had a chance at 2. We're sitting 2 really well-positioned stones. Let's make them make something. And it's not that they aren't making something, but it's just putting that extra pressure of we're sitting 2, now 3, in really good scoring position. What are you going to do about it? And I think that extra element of pressure is really it could be a way to close out the game. I think if you have another 3 or 4 score here by Team Middaugh, it would be a long way back from a 6 or 7 point lead.
Now, sitting 3 in the forefoot, I obviously love the center guard.
You don't like it when there's 2?
I think the safe call is peeling one of the corners solely because if Team Salari makes a really good hit and roll under, then they're buried and you're never going to be able to get to that stone.
But at the same time, Sam, so yes, I agree that's a thing that could happen. But right now, if I'm Middaugh, if you have to make those degree of difficulty shots consistently to score a single point, hats off to you. And I think that's the mentality that through the are they throwing the guard? They're throwing the one?
The guard, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the statement that's being made by calling these shots.
Yeah.
So, but again, like you said, it's not a right or wrong. It just depends on what your team is comfortable with.
Yeah. So you can also go for the 2-for-1. You hit the corner and you roll to the center guard as well.
That's true.
So there's many options. I like, Team Salari is realizing we're in trouble.
Yeah.
We need to make this run back / peel and really need to score. Even if you do score 1, you just need to score, and I think that's being communicated right now. So they're asking Grace. Grace gives the thumbs up.
Yep. She's ready.
She's ready to make this peel. And 2 other close games going on. A big score of 4.
4 is the magic number.
Acres
it's the magic number
to bring
today,
that
Sam.
game back into a close game.
No, I know. And to be quite frank, I think we've had at least 4 to 5 scores of 4 points in each draw. And I think it's just really an interesting observation to just see that there are so many big ends out there for the taking. So
it's good to see the hammer efficiency percentage be quite high for all these teams.
Yes, that hammer efficiency stat would be loving those big scores.
If you're a numbers person, that's exactly what you. I'm not, but that's exactly what you look at. Just like we were talking about the makes after misses percentage.
Yes.
That's another number thing that you really start to look at when you start developing, and you start being one of those top teams in your level of curling.
Yes, very true.
So I like that Team Middaugh is putting the center guard back up, because like we said, if your opposing team is peeling the guard you threw, then they obviously don't want it to be there. So you obviously are going to try and keep putting it there. Now, Jessica had swept her heart out to try to get that over, and it just came short. So you're going to see Team Salari try and make that hit and roll if they see enough of the stone, which I think you do, especially on that curl side. Try to get rid of at least 1 yellow, hopefully 2 if you can throw enough weight, and roll into a buried behind those double corners.
Yeah, Sam, I think the key to this shot is not necessarily the mass explosion of all 3 yellows, but more specifically keeping that shooter in play. If you're Team Salari, you're thinking 2 points is great here. To get to, you need to either lower that weight or take more ice or less ice and more weight or whatever.
Audible.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, audible.
It's not bad. But you need
even if this yellow doesn't go out,
it's
was
better.
a problem stone, right? And it does go out, maybe, depending on the overhead.
Yeah.
But and now that's a blue stone up front, which it was before, but now Team Middaugh has to make a decent shot. And Team Middaugh, there's still no pressure on them right now because they're sitting top 2 buried.
Yeah.
So pressure's still on Team Salari, but Avery's going to try and make her next shot, but Mara's first. So Mara's going to try and put this top 8, top 12. If you miss light and you miss a guard, that's obviously a great tolerance.
I think I see Leslie calling a little heavy. So.
And great communication. That second sweeper who normally you're involved in the shot more, but with the new COVID rules, you're back. You're keeping your space. This looks like a great shot.
Yeah, what a great shot by Mara. That's a really good spot, because even if you attempt that run back, there's a lot of separation between the rock just thrown and the 2 that were previously there. So that just makes the run back degree of difficulty increase significantly.
Yeah.
So that's a really good position stone for
Absolutely.
Team Middaugh.
If you're Team Salari, Avery here, she's going to try and make kind of that cross-face run back, get rid of at least 1 yellow, and try to keep that blue one in play by also peeling.
Yes. We're going to do it all. The Swiss.
We're going to try and make everything on just under curls. And if you're Team Middaugh, you're just going to slap a guard up there again.
Yeah, I think the other good thing about that shot by Team Salari, though, is that although they didn't get the result they're looking for, they're still opening up their approach to the house.
Yeah.
And I think
Giving Skipper a shot.
Exactly, because I think right now the shot Skipper has is not the most straightforward. So at least by peeling that, they are trying to forge a path to that button to score that point. Because two points right now would be a huge Skipper's deuce, but I think getting 1 is what they
keeps you alive.
Exactly. Yeah. So
if you're Team Middaugh here, you're just trying to put a 2-zone guard, guarding those 3 yellows, and now Team Salari is going to have to run a yellow back or make a really nice draw. So and make a really good guard here, which as a skip, you love when you're throwing a guard, because that usually means your team's in a great spot.
Yeah, I always loved sliding down to the hack on my last stone regard, and just knowing that my team performed so well that end that I have the luxury of throwing a simpler shot. Because sometimes you see skips, and I think I think Abby is feeling this right now. It's like, oh man, there's a lot. We're in trouble, and it's on me to right the ship.
Yeah.
And that's not fully true, but that's what you're thinking and feeling.
Sometimes.
Yeah. So I think,
and especially at this age, you put a lot of pressure on yourself as a skip. So that's the first guard I've seen all day from the curl side that under curled.
That is a very good observation.
But it is the right way to miss if you're Team Middaugh, because you're blocking that hole that maybe they could have got to the button.
True.
So Abby's going to have to make a nice, delicate hit and roll and try to give herself a shot for 1.
Yeah, I think right now I think the main goal isn't necessarily to blow everything up, but more so just to make sure that she can run that yellow back into the others and kind of just create a bit of a pocket, a bit of an opening for her on her next one to either promote this stone or draw in there for the single point.
Grace's head down sweeping, and they called him off. Wanting him to curl a little bit.
It just
under curls.
Yeah. I think the rotation there, especially on the straighter surface, really just kept going out.
Yeah.
So
if you're Team Middaugh here, your goal is to not put your stone in a spot that's going to help Team Salari. Right?
Yeah.
Like you could put this 10, 20 feet up just over the hog line, or you could throw it through.
Yeah.
Right? For right now, Team Salari has to make a double run to score.
Yeah, or maybe
a double run tap.
Yeah, kind of like a tap in there. Yeah.
Which maybe you throw this, like this call that they're calling right now doesn't help them. It also doesn't hurt them. So why not throw the guard over where those blue ones are, where that is Team Salari's only shot, which is that double tap.
That's a fair point, Sam. I think Emily, by her throwing the guard, she's okay with forcing Team Salari
Of course.
to throw that degree of difficulty of a shot, which makes sense. But at the same time, I see what you're saying. If I can't exactly see how much is covered by that guard. Looks like it may be a third or so, but it's just saying, know what? Even if you score one, that's okay, is what this call is.
Yeah.
So, out of her hand, I think
she called a little heavy out of her hand. But,
yeah. But as long as they make sure that they position the stone in a location that doesn't give Team Salari anything.
Yeah.
Because right now there isn't
like
much.
The way they're sweeping looks good.
Yes.
And now Team Salari is going to have to play that double tap.
Yeah.
Or if you could get through the hole and make the backline tap. Yeah, I don't know if that's there.
That would be magic. If you do that, we would...
Both of these shots are quite difficult.
Yes. If you can make some sort of amazing shot, we'll get the animation team to throw a heart out there for you.
Both shots are quite difficult, but
no, they really are.
Whatever you're more comfortable with. There's also like the wick off of the yellow, the wide corner yellow.
Like a redirect.
Yeah, like a redirect basically. And that's basically it. You could go blue into the one in the button. You can go yellow blue into the one in the button. You can play the redirect or play the shot that they're calling.
Yeah.
Both shots are very difficult.
Yeah.
It'll be fun to see.
Yeah, the degree of difficulty on all of the shot choices left are very high.
Yes.
But we love to see the making of those, what I was raised to call them circus shots. That's what the broadcasts live for. So let's see if Salari can give us that.
Yeah, let's see if Abby can make this. I like that she's not throwing a bullet. She doesn't need to throw a bullet.
Exactly.
They're
big
on
sweep
it here by Rebecca.
Oh,
They're calling them all
through the hole.
Through the first hole. Oh. Sit. A steal of 2 for Team Middaugh. Like we said, she wasn't left with much. All those shots were quite difficult. It was one of those shots where you make it and you're going to rewatch it about 50 times because you're just in awe that you made such a great shot. That is high difficulty. So, for Team Salari, you're just going to want every rock in play possible for this last end and try to put as much pressure as possible on Team Middaugh. Went down 5.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that Team Salari needs to keep in mind right now is that play this end without looking at the scoreboard.
Yeah.
Go out there and execute, make your 8 shots, and take it as that win. As in, know what? We might have not played our sharpest game, but we're still going to go out there and we're going to learn, and we're going to use the ice to try to improve ourselves.
Absolutely. And for Team Middaugh, learning strategy-wise, a lot of times you don't play when you're up 5 on the glass. But
That's true.
when you do, it's a little surprising. They called the draw to the top 4 foot.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
But it's also a scenario that you're not in often, so you don't see that.
So maybe they're seeing what can
now
I... Oh,
you see
they're
Mara
taking it through.
sweeping it through because it was heavy, which is great communication by the team saying, this isn't top 4, so let's sweep our own rock through to make sure we don't give them a stone to use.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Team Middaugh having that foresight, maybe they're smirking a little bit at the fact that that went through. Because I think if you're in a scenario where you're up more than 3, I'm thinking any rock is a bad rock for you.
Yeah. And for Rebecca, her goal obviously is to put the corner guard up and make a nice shot. And what we've seen most of the game, Grace Elliott sweeping her heart out to try to get these stones over the hog line. And great team shot again. Like you said, Ryan, their goal, not look at the scoreboard, their goal is to make 8 stones. So
Yeah.
that's a great start.
And we've ticked one of those boxes.
Yes.
And let me tell you, Sam, these sweepers are going to sleep well tonight because they have been sweeping their butts off no matter what broadcast we're looking at or other sheets that are going on. It's just continuous, raw, physical energy and they're doing everything in their power to manipulate the stone for the optimal position for the situation they're in.
And I zoom in on Mara's fancy shoes there. It was great. Thank you.
Nike. Catchphrase. Wait, just do it. Not let's do it. Just
and
do it.
Again, they called the top 4. They noticed it was heavy.
And they
communicated. They swept it through. So, and as the lead throwing that stone, you know that heavy is the miss.
Yes.
And the fact that she did the right tolerance both times is great. You know, most teams are going to throw it through anyways. So that's a great tolerance for Team Middaugh, and for Rebecca, her goal is to put the second corner up there, even with the one she just threw. And Avery is now sweeping her heart out to get this over the hot line.
We're going to go 2 for 2 for corner guards by the looks of it.
Like Ryan said, want to make 8.
We're
2 check marks already.
25% of the way there.
20.
25. 2 out of 8 is a quarter, honey. Quick maths.
Yeah, okay. Well,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
I can tell you're not a math major, but that's fine.
Okay, psych.
Okay, so now that we've gotten to that part of the broadcast, we're going to do a quick update. Sheet 4 has Beauchamp leading 8-6, playing the 7th. I
just finished the 7th. We haven't had an update
Okay,
yet.
I will circle back to that. And then sheet 5, we have a tie game between Team Smith and McDonald, with McDonald taking 3 in the all-important 6th end. And I will give you a quick scoreline update for sheet 4 when it becomes 1 yellow for sheet 4.
So 9-6.
9-6 for Beauchamp, playing the 8th end.
And for Team Middaugh, going through it, nothing wrong with that when you're up 5. For Team Salari, we're trying to get another one of those check marks, trying to make 3 out of 3 stones and make this draw around the corner guard that Rebecca put. That's Grace's goal.
Yeah, we're going to go 3 for 3 here.
Yep.
And I think if we can start to build those shot-by-shot positive reinforcement by getting those shots successfully where you're looking for it, I think that bodes well for them come tomorrow, because they have 2 games coming up tomorrow,
big games,
and if they happen to lose this game, those games become exponentially more important.
Big word at this time of night.
Yes, it is 10:05 in the PM.
Yes. Yeah. We look forward to another great 4 draws tomorrow.
Yes.
And Byron Scott will be here to commentate if he chooses to. And I think that would be great to see him commentate.
I think it'll be interesting to say the least.
And most people know he's a coach.
Yeah.
And obviously he runs the Junior Slam series. And to hear an actual, like, because me and Ryan, obviously, we're not coaches. So to hear a coach communicate what is going on in a coach's head will be interesting.
True, a different perspective.
A different perspective for sure. Because we're taking a curler's perspective, we're not taking the coach's perspective.
Yeah, like you're getting the perspective of the masters, and now you're gonna get the perspective of the other half, which would be the coach.
So someone who's used to being on the warm side of the glass.
Exactly. Yeah. And look at that.
Another tick for
tick.
Like another check mark for teams.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, I was gonna say 3 for 3. Let's go.
And for Leslie, or for Jessica, she's trying to make this curl
over there.
Eliminate that blue stone, and
they got a piece of it.
And that's all that they needed to do.
Yeah.
So for Team Salari, they're going to try and hide a little bit better and try to get buried behind this corner guard.
Yeah, I think 4 for 4 is the
why
goal.
not? Yeah. And, you know, to think about the coach's perspective, you know, even though you're down 5, you should be happy that your team, you know, let's play the 8th end. Let's not give up and just try to make 8 and get that confidence for tomorrow, like we talked about. Be ready for those 2 big games coming tomorrow.
Yeah. I think the other thing that the ladies need to keep in mind, though, is that they do have 2 grueling games coming up tomorrow. And as long as they're staying positive and building those healthy curling habits, then it's totally fine to be out there. But if someone's hurting or needs the time to rest and like mentally and or physically prepare themselves for tomorrow, that
still needs to hit the brakes.
Yeah, that they can take that time if they want to. So
this just slides through, and is that mathematically impossible?
I
think it is.
Think it is.
But you know what? First event of the year.
If they want to
we've
keep,
seen a game already play out, even though it is mathematically impossible. Now, if Team Middaugh's like, I want to get off.
Yeah. If
they have every right to say, you know what? It's
over.
Impossible.
Yeah. So if the ladies want to end it, they can
absolutely
feel free to do so.
Yeah. So Mara's gonna practice her peels, and sweep it hard to make it the opposite way. So Team Salari somehow has to score 5 with 4 stones left, which means they need to make a quite difficult split.
Yeah, I think right now the goal is just to go through the motions, play through it. At the same time, if Team Middaugh wants the time to recover, they have every right to.
Yep. And it's in our rule books too.
Yes.
Because it says when you're mathematically out, you are supposed to shake.
Yeah.
But if both teams agree, this is the first event, if both teams agree to throw out the rest of the stones, then that's what they agree. So we'll find that out in probably a couple of shots. All Team Middaugh has to do is eliminate 1 more stone. So, yeah. Another big sweep by Grace here to try and get by this corner guard.
Yeah, and if, like, Salari, although the result isn't their way, it's not due to a lack of effort.
Absolutely.
Their team has put everything they have into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And their coach is signaling to shake if they decide to see it.
We see one. We're 2 for 4.
Rebecca saw it. 2 for 4.
Yeah.
And
I think
looks like Emily's just gonna call the shot, and Mara probably just wants to make this peel.
Yeah.
I think we talked about Team Salari getting confidence for tomorrow. So does Team Middaugh. Like, yes, they're coming out with a win.
Yep.
But they also want to be confident going into those next 2 games tomorrow. So Mara's gonna want to make this peel, and I like the release on the curl side. This should move.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with leaving the ice with a made shot.
Yes. And I think
that will be broom taps.
I love how you called it broom taps.
That's a new handshake.
Broom taps.
Yeah, and I think we'll be doing broom taps for a long time. So that will be it for today's live stream. 4 draws, 4 great games by both the men and the women.
Yeah, both the men and the women did so well. 2 draws for each. 2 great curling masters here. We'll catch you on the flip side tomorrow morning.
I believe the draw tomorrow morning is,
we will plug it,
8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we'll see you then on sheet 2 with Team Dobson playing Team Murray. So that should be a great game.
Be there or be square.
Bye.
See ya.